Hi and welcome to a very quick update this week on MakeTile. Mostly I've been working on sort of stuff on the back end which isn't really visible, and also playing around with new materials, none of which are actually ready yet to put in. So I have implemented a couple of small features. The first one is that now when you go on to any of the tiles, go on Blueprint and Custom, you can now choose not to have a base, as it were, or not to have a main bit of the tile. So if you choose not to have the main bit of the tile and just have the base, then you can just create an open lock base, and this is useful if you've got some tiles which you already have, which are in a different tile system. And you just want to stick them onto an open lock base or stick them onto a plain base or something like that. Obviously later when there's more tiles, more tile types, you'll be able to do that. So if it's you've got some open lock tiles and you want to put them onto a dragon lock base, then you'll be able to do that. But for now, it's just a sort of a demo of that feature. Okay, so the other thing which we now have is you can now apply materials on multiple materials onto a single object. So if I just create a straight wall, stick the lighting on so we can see it, and then go to vertex groups. So if I take off the brick material from the front, I do that by just clicking front, remove material, and then I change this material here to the stone wall and click assign material. We now get a stone wall on the front, and we get bricks on the back. If I click Make 3D, you can see that we now have the stone wall material on this side, we have the bricks on this side, still have the bricks on the top there. So let's just go back to the sort of the preview and take the bricks off the top, click on Make 3D, and there we go. We've got the usual sort of minor issues with stuff sticking out. I'm actually working on fixing that without having to use trimmers, but for now, if we where's my trimmers gone? My trimmers should be there. There we go. Sometimes you might have to select your object up here in the scene collection if you can't see any trimmers. It's just the way that this menu is set up. I'll fix that at some point so that it shows up anyway. But yeah, I'm just going to trim off the sides there and trim off the top, and yeah, there we go. So I could just export that and print it now. You can see that this is really quite pixelated. So just to show you how to fix that, if we return to the preview, here you've got a subdivisions option, and this controls how many times this is subdivided. The more times it's been subdivided, the higher the resolution, because there's more sort of polygons to displace. So if I whack that up to 8 and then click on Make 3D, this is going to take quite a few seconds, which is why it's not set to 8 sort of by default. But once that does its thinking, it will displace it and it will be much higher resolution. So there we go. So that's, preserve much more of the detail, and it just generally looks better. So once you print it out, you preserve more of the detail. Now, one of the things is that the bigger your tiles get, the more you're going to have to subdivide them. So you can end up in this situation where you're sort of, if you do build a particularly big tile, you're going to have to subdivide it 8 or 9 times in order to get it to look good, and then it's going to take a long time. So when you do that, you're then going to want to fairly rapidly voxelize it, so you're not dealing with those huge files, huge numbers of polygons anymore. So if we voxelize this, merge it all together, and this will take a little while because of the number of polygons which are there at the moment. one of the disadvantages of Blender is that it doesn't have progress bars. I really wish it had progress bars. Until you're used to it, you think that it's just frozen and crashed. It hasn't, but if I click on it, it's going to, it really does look like it's crashed. It's got not responding and all this kind of stuff going on, but it's still working away in the background. Yeah, it's a really irritating feature, but you just have to sort of learn patience. There we go. Ooh, that's gone horribly wrong. Right, so what's happened there? So the voxelizer has completely failed there. I've not seen it do that. Now, why has it completely failed? The reason it's completely failed is because we've got tile trimmers on already. I'm just going to undo that, which is also going to take forever. Right, this is definitely still an alpha. There are, quite a lot of bugs still. But right, okay, that seems to be working again now. So if we go back to our lighting setup and and just remove one from the top, put stones on the front, make that 3D. Okay, the reason that everything went horribly wrong previously was because I'd already added trimmers onto this object, and in doing so I'd made the object non-manifold, which means that it wasn't a sort of truly 3D object anymore. There are overlapping faces, and it was a sort of an object which wasn't actually, couldn't actually exist in the real world. So the trick, if something like that happens, is to voxelize it first. So voxelize the tile. And then add our trimmers on. There we go. And you can see that it's worked properly this time. Now, this, when we've got an object like this, it's still got sort of all the information and stuff behind it. There's you can sort of get back to the original object and things, and because of that, it's still doing lots of calculations. So if I try and move it and just press G on the keyboard there, it's going to move really slowly, and weird things are going to happen because there's various objects which are attached to it, being booleans and stuff. So obviously this isn't great if you want to in future actually make a building out of this. So there's now a flatten selected objects button here in the trim settings. Click on that, click mesh, and what this will do is it will create a sort of new mesh which has got none of those bits applied to it. So this is the original mesh, this is the new mesh here, open lock straight wall merge down here. So I'm going to delete this hierarchy here and get it out the way of the scene entirely. And now if I move this around, you can see it's just a single simple mesh. So yeah, there we go. Right, okay, so that didn't go very well, but I thought I'd leave everything in just to sort of reinforce the message that this is not quite ready for production yet. So hopefully by next week or the week after, I'll have implemented quite a few new materials which will be much better, and maybe fix this whole trimming issue. Might not manage to fix the trimming issue, but hopefully I manage to fix the trimming issue, whereby materials sort of jut out beyond where you want them to be. Okay, so that's everything for now, and yeah, bye for now.